coronavirus pandemic separated most of us from friends and loved ones, but not all of us. Our Marco Lamano shows how timing is everything as people find real friendships in the virtual world in the time of COVID.
In the virtual world,
Own goal.
the party doesn't stop for Dylan Borden.
My dad brought home a computer when I was 4 years old, and since then I was playing games.
He has two brothers, one a Suncoast local and one in New York.
I've spent probably over the last month more time talking to my brother in New York than I have in the previous 5-6 months.
And not just his brothers.
My girlfriend, she's not the biggest video gamer ever, but we'll play some games where it's more of a group game. It's something where we can all come together and just hang out.
He gathered a group of his friends.
Can they actually hear us? I feel like they didn't hear before.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, sweet.
We play trivia games, word games, I died. Just like the best parties. And it's a weekly thing for Dylan, but it's a national thing for Americans. January and February were down months in video game sales year to year. Then stay-at-home orders were issued coast to coast in response to the coronavirus pandemic.
And what happened then? A spotlight was shown on video games and sales surged to $1.6 billion. That was the highest March revenue since 2008.
Do I think that contributed to the bump in sales? Absolutely. There's zero doubt.
Game designer David Jaffe created the Twisted Metal franchise in the 90s and the first God of War game in 2005. A franchise which is now one of Sony's best-selling. Jaffe says high-profile releases like Resident Evil 3,
Oh my god.
and others help drive sales. But he points to the online multiplayer games that sold well. The new Doom, the new MLB The Show, Call of Duty.
It's nice to know there is a medium out there that is not only entertaining and fun, but allows you to actually get social connection with people that you can't physically see anymore.
And one game stood head and shoulders above the rest.
The Animal Crossing New Horizons game is your ticket to a relaxing, stress-free life.
Nintendo's new Animal Crossing already sold over 13 million copies, and more in its debut month than any Mario or Zelda game. The premise is simple. You go to a deserted island, interact with its animal residents, and build the island you want.
That world is so innocent and genuine and kind and colorful. I think people need that right now. That ability to walk away, at least for a little bit, from this sort of scary stuff they're hearing on the news.
The game's release just happened to coincide with the pandemic, and sometimes timing is everything, says senior editor at StereoGum.com, Tom Bryan.
You can make a masterpiece, and if it doesn't hit the zeitgeist the right way, it'll go nowhere. It'll land with a thud.
He pointed out this weird #1 song from the early 80s.
He's a real nowhere man.
Dutch Beatle impersonators doing like a disco mega mix of Beatles covers. The reason that it hit #1 was because it was the thing that people latched onto when John Lennon died.
In the world of movies, Spider-Man's debut in 2002 broke an opening weekend record at the time. It was the first big-screen Spider-Man movie, but Spider-Man is also a New York character, and Bryan says it doubled as a Valentine to a post-9/11 New York.
The idea of New Yorkers coming together and supporting each other and rallying around a cause.
You mess with Spidey, you mess with New York. You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
It definitely, at that moment, hit a cultural nerve. It's an accident of timing. There's so many of those throughout the history of every popular art form.
That leads us back to the comfort of the video game.
You can feel almost that sense of normalcy by getting back into something that you've been doing and you love doing. It's virtual, but I think some of the new relationships that people have found is very real.
The virtual world and its real relationships and real comfort. Reporting from Sarasota, Marco Lamano, SNN, the Suncoast News Network.
Marco and Jazz with an awesome story and obviously so relevant to everything right now. All you gamers out there, just some extra time to stay home and play games. That's all this is.